very important news for the Cowboys and their fans. It shows that the organization want to keep one of their most explosive playmaker for at least one more season. However, this is not a long-term contract yet. It is a non-exclusive franchise tag, which means things could still get interesting. The non-exclusive franchise tag for George Pickens will cost the Cowboys $27.298 million for the upcoming season. That is a large amount of the money for just 1 year. This type of the tag is considered the standard franchise tag in the National Football League. It allows other teams to speak with Pickens and even offer him a contract. If another team makes an offer, the Cowboys have the right to match that offer and keep him. If they decide not to match, they would receive 2 first-round draft picks in compensation. Right now, the Cowboys do not seem closer to agreeing a long-term contract extension with the George Pickens. That is why they use the franchise tag. It gives them more time to negotiate while making sure he doesn't not live in free agents. This move prevents him from walking away for nothing. Still, it also shows that there is work left to be done between both sides. According to the reports, team owner Jerry Jones personally called George Pickens on Thursday to inform him about the decision. The phone call appears to have gone very well. Stephen Jones later spoke about the conversation and shared some interesting details. He said George Pickens was very excited and fired up that he was not going anywhere. He was excited about his future with the Cowboys, and the organization believes that Pickens truly wants to stay in the Dallas. Stephen Jones also mentioned that George Pickens told Jerry Jones directly that he wanted to remain with the Cowboys. Jerry reported said that George Pickens was in cloud nine and extremely happy about being a Cowboy again. This is a positive sign for the relationship between a player and the team. Even though there is no long-term deal yet, the emotional connection appears strong. Still, the business side of the football cannot be ignored. Because this is the non-exclusive franchise tag, other teams are allowed to explore a potential deal with the Pickens. However, there is some important factors that make this situation complicated. First, any team that signs him would have to give up 2 first-round draft picks if Cowboys choose not to match the offer. That is a heavy price. Most teams are not willing to sacrifice that kind of the draft capital. Many analysts believe that George Pickens is unlikely to receive an offer that includes 2 first-round picks in value. That does not mean he is not talented. It simply means that the draft compensation makes it difficult. Teams may not want to do all of the negotiating work just for the Cowboys to match the contract and keep him away. There is a limited incentive for the other teams to invest time and effort if Dallas can simply match the offer. Because of this, the most realistic outcome could be that the Cowboys and George Pickens eventually agree on a new contract extension before the season begins. The franchise tag can sometimes act as a temporary bridge while both sides continue discussions. It gives the time leverage, but it also gives the player strong negotiating power because of the high 1-year salary. While the franchise tag situation is dominating headlines, there is also another major rumor surrounding the Cowboys. Reports from the Indianapolis suggest that there was significant buzz connecting Dallas to the linebacker Nakobe Dean of the Philadelphia Eagles. This rumor has been gaining momentum, especially during the scouting event and the league meeting. Nakobe Dean is a talented linebacker who has shown flashes of the strong defensive play. If the Cowboys were to pursue him, it could create an interesting storyline. It would reunite him with the defensive coordinator Christian Parker. It would also reconnect him with outside linebackers coach Shidera Uzo-Dribe. Familiarity with the coaches can play a big role in player success. Players often perform better in a system they already understood. If the Cowboys are serious about adding Nakobe Dean, it could signal that they are looking at strength the middle of their defense. The linebacker position has been an area where Dallas has searched for the consistency. Bringing a player who already has a relationship within the coaching staff could help the transition process move smoothly. At the same time, trading or signing a player from a division rival like the Philadelphia Eagles always adds extra drama. The rivalry between Dallas and Philadelphia is intense. Any move involving a player switching between these two teams immediately becomes a headline news. Cowboys fans would be excited to see defensive addition, especially one with the inside knowledge of the Eagles system. Overall, this is a very active period for the Dallas Cowboys. The franchise tag on George Pickens secure a key defensive weapons for now, but long-term future still needs clarity. Meanwhile, rumors about Nakobe Dean shows that the front office may not be finished making moves. The next few weeks could be critical in shaping the Cowboys roster for the upcoming season. The biggest question now is whether Dallas can turn this temporary franchise tag into long-term partnership with the George Pickens. If both sides truly want to stay together, as Stephen Jones suggested, then contract extension could happen. Until then, the situation remains something to watch closely. Cowboys fans should stay ready. Big decisions are being made and more could be when the 2026 season begins. That means he is just entering his prime. Top wide receiver in league are now earning close to $40 million per year on long-term contracts. Franchise tag gives Pickens only 1 year deal. There is no long-term security. There is no guaranteed future seasons for players that can feel risk. Most players do not like being franchise tagged. It limits their long-term earning potential and forces them to prove themselves again, even after a dominant season. Now, here is where things become interesting. Reports from the NFL insiders Don Paulin suggest that Cowboys could actually trade Pickens after placing the franchise tag on him. That sounds shocking at the first. Why tag a player just to trade him? However, we have seen this strategy before. In the 2022, the Green Bay Packers franchise tagged Davante Adams and then trade him at Las Vegas Raiders. It allowed the team to control the situation while still getting trade value. Could the Cowboys be planning something similar? Right now, there is no official indication that Pickens is available. In fact, the Cowboys may simply be using the tag as leverage in contract negotiation, but possibility of the trade cannot be ignored. Imagine this scenario. Cowboys decide they can afford to give Pickens a $40 million per year contract. They explore trade offers. A team desperate for the true number one wide receiver offers a first-round draft picks and additional assets. Suddenly, the Cowboys must make a decision about their long-term future. If George Pickens stays, he and CeeDee Lamb could form one of the most dangerous wide receiver duo in the entire NFL for years to come. That is the dream scenario for the Dallas fans. But the financial reality makes everything complicated. And George Pickens is not only major storyline. There is another name creating serious buzz across the league. Max Crosby of the Las Vegas Raiders. Reports indicate that Raiders are in full rebuilding mood. When teams rebuild, they often trade star players in exchange for draft picks. Max Crosby is an all-pro pass rusher and one of the most respected defensive players in football. Even in what was considered a down year, Crosby recorded 10 sacks and earned a Pro Bowl selection. The season his production dipped slightly was simple. He was double-teamed constantly because he had very little help on the defense line. Now the question is simple. Which team makes the most sense for the Crosby? The Cowboys are now 7 teams. One of the 7 teams reported linked for the Max Crosby. Dallas already has a superstar pass rusher, Micah Parsons, who already gone from the Dallas Cowboys. Parsons was explosive and dominant as a pass rusher, but critics sometimes point out that he was not as strong against the run. Max Crosby is considered a more complete defensive end. He can lash a pass and set the egg against the run. Pairing Crosby with Williams would instantly create one of the most terrifying defensive fronts in the league. But there is a problem: salary cap space. After tagging George Pickens, Cowboys do not have much flexibility. They would need to restructure multiple contracts to afford Crosby's salary. That creates long-term financial risk. Other teams are also being discussed for the Max Crosby, including Chicago Bears, are reportedly aggressive. They are trying to rebuild a contender, and quickly a move for Crosby would